Alright, so Niantic finally gave us details on what Pokémon GO Fest 2021 is going to be like. It looks like it's going to be very similar to how it was last year, but instead of certain features being the prominent focus, a lot of new other features are what's going to be highlighted in this event. I'm really looking forward to this, and I really think there's a lot to be excited for here, and I've mentioned this before, but Pokémon GO Fest last year was a raving success in spite of any technical difficulties that happened on the first day. But regardless of any of that, I'm really looking forward to this. But yeah, let's talk about these details and all this cool stuff that's coming to Pokémon GO Fest. Let's roll the intro and get right into it. And how's it going, everyone? It's me, it's Count here with a brand new Pokemon Go video. Today I'm going to be talking about Pokemon GO Fest 2021. Niantic announced all of the details for this event, and yes, it looks like it's going to be very similar to how it was last year. Now, unlike last year, they're going to be switching up the second day of Pokemon GO Fest. Of course, last year with the second day of Pokemon GO Fest, there was a heavy emphasis on Team Go Rocket battles, and it looks like this year they're not going to be focusing in on that, and instead they're going to be focusing on raid battles. But for the first day, it's going to run pretty much identical to how it did last year's first day. Basically, there's going to be hourly habitats with different spawns spawning every hour, and of course the incense is going to produce shinies and unknowns and different things like that. So overall, it's looking like it's going to be a really solid day. So here are the details of what's going to happen during Pokemon GO Fest. First and foremost, there's going to be 3-hour lure modules. That's pretty much how it is for Pokemon GO Fest and most big events like this. There's going to be special music by Junichi Masuda. That's actually pretty exciting. Of course, last year, or I think it was actually during the Pokemon Kanto tour, that was actually pretty cool how they changed up the in-game music depending on what region you were in. So I really like that sort of mechanic. It adds a lot of flavor to the game. For some of us who actually put on the music of the game, like, it's going to change up the experience, and it's going to be something really cool. It's definitely going to give it that event feel. There's going to be event-exclusive field research tasks. Like pretty much every event in this game, there's going to be exclusive field research, and field research usually awards some pretty decent Pokemon. Of course, there's going to be a couple of new shinies that's going to be introduced in Pokemon GO Fest of 2021, and I'll get to those later. And I wonder if some of those field research rewards are going to award those potential new shinies. That's definitely an exciting prospect. I mean, the event research is how you can get some really high IVs of special Pokemon, especially shinies. I actually have quite a few shinies that are 98% or 100% even, and they were from field research tasks. So that is a really great source for high IV shinies, so definitely do not ignore it during the event. And then lastly, we're going to be getting some very special spawns in 7km eggs. I know egg hatching is kind of like the bane of Pokemon Go right now. There's always been discussions regarding pay-to-win mechanics and loot boxes, but for many of us who still actively hatch eggs, this is somewhat exciting considering that 7km eggs seems to always hold some trash Pokemon, and occasionally you can hold some really good Pokemon. In this case, it's going to have Audino as part of its egg pool, and of course Audino is a very awesome Pokemon. It does have a Mega Evolution, which will eventually come in the future, and it is potentially going to be a very strong Pokemon as a gym defender or as a raid attacker. And of course, very similar to last year, for ticket holders, you can get some exclusive stickers from Pokestops. You can get a lot of different encounters through the snapshot feature, and of course you will be spawning unknowns from your incense. Now this is exclusive to ticket holders, but I'm not sure if unknown will also be spawning in the wild. As of last year, that's not exactly how it worked. Basically, only the ticket holders were able to access the unknown as they spawned in incense, so I really think they're going with something very similar here. The unknown that are going to be featured in this year's Pokemon GO Fest is going to be Unknown G and Unknown F, and yes, both of these can potentially be shiny. Alright, so real quick before we jump into what the habitats are going to be, let's talk about the new shinies. So, the new shinies that are going to be introduced is going to be Whismur, Chimecho, Audino, Timble, Sock, and Throw, and of course Unknown F. These are Pokemon that, you know, I don't necessarily know if their shinies are exciting. Although out of all of these, I actually think Audino and Whismur have the coolest shinies, and I'm really looking forward to those. I'm really hoping I hit it lucky and pick up these new shinies, but who knows. Last year's Pokemon Go Fest, I only picked up 1 or 2 new shinies, and the rest were repeat shinies, so I predict that's what the experience is going to be like for a majority of players. I mean, up until now, a lot of people have accumulated a lot of different shinies, so don't expect to come out of Pokemon Go Fest with a whole bunch of brand new shinies. Maybe you'll pick up 1 or 2, just make sure you temper your expectations. It's one thing that I saw a lot of players complaining about last year, but overall the shiny rate was actually really decent throughout the day. It's just a matter of what you end up getting as a shiny, but yeah. Real quick, let's go over the hourly habitats of Pokemon Go Fest. First and foremost, we're going to start off with the jungle habitat. It's going to give you a whole bunch of different grass types, and of course through your incense, you're going to get evolved forms of these grass types. Specifically, you're going to see Leafeons and Serperiors and Ludicolo spawning in the wild. That's actually pretty cool. And then of course, you're going to see Chatot as well. Chatot, of course, was a regional that was introduced in Pokemon Go Fest in the past, or at least I think it was a Safari Zone. So for some people, it may not necessarily be that exciting considering that it is a regional that a lot of players already have by now, but in general, I still think it's a pretty cool thing. The next habitat is going to be the Desert Mountain habitat. This is of course going to be all your ground types and steel types. You're going to see a whole bunch of Pokemon like Hippopotas and Skarmory spawning in the wild, and then of course when you're throwing on an incense, you're going to see Pokemon like Flareon and Throw and a whole bunch of really cool ground and fire type Pokemon. So overall, really exciting. This seems to be the first hour where you could potentially get a shiny Throw, so yeah, definitely do not miss out on that. The next habitat is going to be Ocean, and that is of course the water dragon and all that stuff. You're going to see Pokemon like Dratini spawning massively in the wild, which at this point it's kind of become a meme where Dratini was always considered a super rare spawn back in the day, but nowadays it seems to have that Rattata level of common spawns. And yeah, if you don't have a good Dragonite by now, well, this is your chance to pick one up. And if you want the candies to evolve it and get it maxed out for the Go Battle League or for raiding, well, this is also your opportunity to farm up those candies. You're also going to be seeing socks in the wild. Socks, not like the socks you wear, but the Pokemon sock. And of course, this is one of the new shinies, just like with Throw, so that's also really exciting. Maybe that is really the regionals that they're kind of emphasizing here. Kind of like Plusle and Minoon for one of the Pokemon Go Fests. They were considered regionals at one point. I think for Sock and Throw, that is really what's going to be happening here, because there are parts of the world where there are no socks, and of course there's also parts of the world where there's no Throws, so maybe yeah, this is what they're going with. And finally, the last habitat in this rotation is going to be the cave habitat. I predict that this is the one that a lot of players are going to be focusing on, and of course that is because one of these spawns is going to be Dino. Now of course last year the Gible spawns were what was highlighted, considering that Gible shiny was highly sought after back then, and I really feel like this time Dino is going to become the Gible of Pokemon Go Fest. A lot of people are going to be looking for this shiny. It's definitely a special and rare one as of right now, but I do predict that eventually it will get a community day, and the reason why I say that is of course because last year there was Gible, and of course pretty soon here we're going to be getting Gible Community Day. So I see similar treatment happening for Dino. We'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, there you have it. These are what the spawns are going to be for Pokemon Go Fest of 2021. I'm super excited and looking forward to it, and I really think it's going to be a very positive experience. But now let's move on to Pokemon Go Fest 2021 Day 2. And last year it was all about Team Go Rocket battles. There was even a special research that led you to fighting Giovanni and picking up a Victini. But this year it's all going to be around raiding. Now I know what you're thinking here. They are basically paywalling the experience behind raids, and it's unfortunate because of course raid passes are pretty expensive if you buy them in mass, and of course last year with Team Go Rocket battles, you don't really need to spend any more in order to battle Team Go Rocket battles, so unfortunately, yeah, this year it's going to require some sort of premium currency investment. I mean, if you don't have a whole bunch of raid passes lined up, your experience might be very short on day 2. too. But fortunately, there is going to be a timed research that's going to award up to 8 passes. So if you do need raid passes, then yes, you will be able to pick up quite a few from that timed research. 8 raid passes is equivalent to about $6 or $7. So yeah, it kind of pays for the ticket itself. So you are getting some value out of this event. Unfortunately, unless you have a whole bunch of raid passes lined up and you're able to go out and raid, it might actually be kind of a miserable day too. So hopefully Niantic is fully aware of that and they have some contingencies in place. But again, we'll just have to wait and see how it goes down. Now before I close this video, let me share some of my thoughts regarding the format of Pokémon GO Fest 2021. I actually really enjoyed Pokémon GO Fest last year. Of course, there were technical issues last year that I personally experienced, but it really didn't hamper my experience that badly. Actually, I ended up enjoying day one regardless. I even picked up a Shundo out of it, so I really can't complain about my experience. And I really think that this year it's going to also be very enjoyable as long as they got a lot of those technical issues taken care of. I really think they did, considering that the Kanto Tour event was really kind of like the test case for if they can handle an event like this. I mean, the Kanto Tour event was a lot more technically complex compared to Pokemon GO Fest of 2020, and yet it ran pretty smooth for the most part. So I really do think they figured things out, and this event is going to be as smooth as it could possibly be, so I'm not necessarily worried about the technical aspects of it. But in terms of the format, I really enjoyed last year, so I do like the fact that there is a bit of a repeat. The only caveat that I feel like is a little bit disappointing is that there just isn't a somewhat brand new regional or a super rare regional that's going to be highlighted. We are of course getting Sock Throw and Chatot, and yeah, I can understand that Chatot does follow the theme of this Pokemon GO Fest, considering that it's kind of like a musical festival kind of theme, but honestly they could have gone with a lot of other regionals that a lot of players still do not have, like that one Egypt regional. Like I don't think I'll ever pick up that regional unless I trade with someone who happened to go there, and of course I'm never going to trade with a spoofer for a regional like that. So I really hope Niantic decides to switch it up a little bit, or maybe through some sort of surprise they'll add a different regional on top of Chatot. I think that would be really cool. Because let's be real here, regionals are always going to be something that players will want, and Pokemon GO Fest has always typically been a great way for people to pick up regionals that they may not necessarily ever have access to. So yeah. Anyway, it's still pretty exciting, and I know there's players out there who still don't have Chatot, so it is what it is. I really think it's not necessarily going to hinder the experience that badly. And my only other concern is that day 2, considering that it is centered around raiding. Now of course a lot of the cool raid spawns are going to be very exciting, like Cranidos and Dino, but regardless, I really don't like it when there's an emphasis on raiding. Like last year, there was a huge emphasis on raiding because Gible was in raids, and of course the super popular duos of Groudon and Kyogre, and of course with Dialga and Palkia on the second day. Like all of this raiding was actually really fun, but at the same time it was very difficult for people who don't have a lot of raid passes, and of course people who just don't like to spend money outside of special events like this. They're going to lack raid passes, they're going to lack remote raid passes, and of course when it comes to raiding, like if there's a huge emphasis on raiding, then a good number of players are not necessarily going to enjoy it to the fullest like they could have if it was a totally different mechanic that didn't require you to spend money. But yeah, regardless, this is all just hearsay and just little nitpicks. I think the event is going to be a smashing success, and I think a lot of people are really going to enjoy it. But yeah, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. What are your thoughts regarding Pokemon GO Fest of 2021? Are you really excited and hyped up for this event? Or are you kind of disappointed considering that it is somewhat of a repeat of last year and you didn't like last year? I don't know. Just share all of your opinions and thoughts. Let's have a great discussion. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget that like button and subscribe if it's your first time here. And yeah, I am Count Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, and I'll catch you all later.